Welcome back, dear visitor, to the ancient kingdom. One of the widely discussed queries on the internet pertains to the nature and significance of the gods' knights in Geoise, particularly in relation to events like the revolution attack and Kuma's arrival at the capital of Celestial Dragon's Holy Land. I believe that the answer to this question lies in the fundamental distinction between the gods' knights and the other forces that serve and are controlled by the world government. To fully comprehend the dynamics at play, it is essential to commence with the examination of the manga's dialogues. But before we begin, leave a like and help this channel grow. During chapter 1054, at the end of Wano Country Saga, a discussion arises between the Great Admiral Akainu, Admiral Kizaru, and Vice Admiral Tensei, who is nicknamed Kuro Uma, Dark Horse in English. Borsalino raises the question, can we consider the attempted murder in St. Charles resolved? Tensei responds by mentioning that the culprits, who we know to be Sai and Leo, escaped with the help of San Myosgard. However, this situation remained unclear due to the intervention of the gods' knights during the deliberations in Divine Land. Sakazuki, on the other hand, shows indifference towards the situation, stating, let them do what they like. Then, in chapter 1084, volume 107, during the wonderful panoramic aside of the Egghead Saga, Monkey D. Dragon mentions that although they have imposed a food embargo in Geoise, it is unlikely that they will be able to completely hold the supplies. However, he believes that the embargo will cause them serious suffering. Additionally, he knows that they may not remain silent in the face of these hardships. Dragon concludes by stating that when the gods' knights make their move, it will mark the beginning of the battle. Finally, in chapter 1086, the last thing in our possession about the gods' knights is unveiled. It is within this chapter that we come across a most significant figure, a man who in due course will play a particularly important role for a pirate very dear to us. Today, in the Holy Land of Geoise, a celestial dragon was executed, but this will not be announced to the world. The man who passed the sentence was the champion who once stood out in the land called God Valley. He is currently the supreme commander of the gods' knights, Saint Feigalan Garling. The one who was executed, on the other hand, is the man who protected the fishmen, Saint Don Quixote Myosgard. The gods' knights, I would say it's obvious, are not merely guards or soldiers. They hold the position of higher-ranking celestial dragons and are also skilled in combat, making them significantly less inept than the remaining population. In addition to their primary function of mediating internal conflicts among their peers, they have the authority to pass judgment and even execute mortal judgments on their fellow dragons. Due to this unique and distinctive role, they occupy a position of considerable power and responsibility within the elite social structure of Geoise. When the Revolution Army shook the foundations of the land of the gods, or when Bartholomew Kuma recently made his dramatic return, in the first case it was Isho Fujitora and Aramaki Ryokugyu, both admirals, who took action to face these external threats. In the second situation, it was instead the powerful Grand Admiral Sakazuki who intervened. The reason for this is that the Navy has the primary responsibility of safeguarding the celestial dragons from external assaults rather than the gods' knights. Therefore, this functional distinction clarifies why Great Admiral Akainu, rather than the knights, intervened in such circumstances. As I said before, there are detailed dialogues that highlight the identities and roles of the gods' knights. These individuals, who serve as armed mediators and judges, have the duty to uphold order and justice among their peers. It is worth remark that the celestial dragons consist of 19 families that have flourished for 800 years, and I guess their number are so high that rightly need an impartial referee among them, right? For this fact, the responsibilities of gods' knights appear to be confined to internal affairs, as the external defense is entrusted to the capable Navy admirals. It is crucial to comprehend this intricate internal structure in order to grasp the complex socio-political dynamics at play in the world of One Piece. The hierarchical structure within the world government, consisting of military forces as Navy and CP, the Celestial Dragons, the Gods' Knights, the Five Elders, and the King of the World Imu, represents a sophisticated and interdependent political reality. While the Gods' Knights maintain order among the elite of Geoise, it is the admirals who serve as a formidable defense against external threats, preserving the continuity and stability of the sacred land of the Celestial Dragons. As the Gods' Knights are themselves Celestial Dragons, they are not obligated to intervene, although they possess exceptional combat skills, as we saw during the manhunt during the flashback related to the events in God Valley. And that is precisely why Dragon emphasizes that if this group summons the desire to enter the battlefield, the true confrontation will commence. This is not simply because the gods' knights are required to protect their counterparts, but rather they must protect their entire world, themselves, and the privileged class they represent. Now let me provide more details. In my viewpoint, if we were to set up a hierarchical structure within the celestial dragons, we would place Imu at the highest position. Imu serves as the theocratic leader of everything. Below Imu, we have the 5 elders who portray themselves as the utmost authority in the world. Following them are the gods' knights, who could potentially become the successors to the 5 elders if they were to leave their positions for any reason. And finally, we have the celestial dragons as a whole, where there is a trivial and macho belief that men hold more significance than women due to their social class. Why do I state this? Allow me to unleash my knowledge of Japanese language. The term saint in the Japanese language is originally known as sei, and in One Piece is primarily associated with male beings. On the other hand, for females like Charlo's sister Charlia, the term used is gu. Interestingly, this term does not signify holiness, but rather connotes a sense of sacredness. In Japanese, gu typically refers to a palace or shrine, and is frequently used to describe a building or a complex of buildings with royal or sacred significance. Digging deeper into the roots of the kanji radical and tracing back to China, where these characters originate from, the kanji that represents gu in Japanese within the context of noble titles corresponds to gong in Chinese. This term is employed as part of the title for certain members of the royal family, particularly imperial consorts. Thus, from this analysis, we can cautiously conclude that the celestial dragons regard women as occupying a lower position in their hierarchical structure compared to men. Although classified as celestial dragons, women are not esteemed with the same level of sanctity as their male counterparts. Moving forward, if we were to examine historical instances resembling gods' knights in our real world, numerous individuals or groups come to mind who fulfilled the roles of mediators and judges within the elite or upper strata of society. An exemplary instance can be seen in the knights affiliated with the Teutonic Order during the Middle Ages. Not only were they a formidable military force, but they also played a crucial part in upholding order and settling disputes within the territories under their control. Similarly, other historical figures or groups like the Vikings or samurai likewise undertook similar responsibilities as mediators, judges, or guardians of societal harmony. Furthermore, one can find an interesting parallel in the various assemblies of nobles that existed in several European monarchies during the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. Comprised of esteemed high-ranking nobles, these councils often had the crucial task of resolving conflicts between nobles and occasionally even adjudicating cases involving acts of treason or other grave offenses. In the ancient history of Rome, instead, there existed key figures known as patricians. These patricians held considerable power in society and played the role of mediators in legal and social conflicts. Similarly, within the realm of religion, numerous high-ranking ecclesiastical figures such as bishops or cardinals historically assumed the roles of mediators and judges in matters pertaining to religious doctrine or ecclesiastical disputes. It is crucial to acknowledge that the structure and function of these groups and individuals can greatly differ across various cultures and historical eras, thereby posing challenges when attempting to draw direct parallels with the fictional gods' knights in the One Piece universe. The gods' knights possess a distinct combination of religious, military, and judicial authority. In any case, this serves as an explanation for the knights' choice to refrain from intervening and their future inactivity in the defense of their fellow human beings. In the rare event when they do engage in battle, their primary objective is to safeguard their world, rather than its inhabitants. Their existence holds greater importance than that of ordinary celestial dragons. Thus, there is little justification for them to dirty their own hands if their world isn't truly under threat. This explains why Dragon stated, "When the gods' knights will join the battle, it will signify Marijua's acceptance of our challenge of war." So, an acknowledgement that they are both fully engaged in conflict. This will surpass a mere act of reinforcement by the navy. In that case, the knights will directly partake in the battle, mobilizing their strongest characters, truly embodying the will of the gods, who will feel their existence is questioned. I don't know when it will happen, but once the Revolutionary Army takes action, we could witness some intense battling. With that being said, I'm curious about your thoughts on the gods' knights and whether you agree with the hierarchy I've established. However, I must remind you that although it seems probable, it is still considered a theory as of today. Nonetheless, structuring it in this way brings a sense of logic to everything. Time will tell. Clear is that if you have come this far and have not yet left a like and you haven't joined the channel yet, you are an earthworm worse than Jupiter. Fix that right now. See you soon, my friend. Be care and enjoy.